Hi, this is Greg Forzani with another Don't Miss a Point of Business video. And this one's an interesting one. So I'll say this. If you agree, because this is my opinion, if you agree that impactful decisions lead to effective activity, and effective activity leads to greater results. If you believe in that process, that formula, then it's all about how impactful are your decisions. Meaning, if you take your day and you break it into 1 hour chunks as an example, then what activities are you doing in each one of those 1 hour chunks is determined by what decisions you make. So if we all agree with that philosophy, then I want to talk about something called the reticular activating system, or it could be called reticular activating cortex, some people call it. And you can Google this. It's a part of your brain right back here. It's a little stem in the back, middle, and it controls, it's the control center for your thoughts. Now, if we think about that, that means those thoughts impact the decisions we make, which we talked earlier, impact the activities you do, which impact the results you get. So if that's the case, the better we get at controlling those thoughts, the better results we're going to get. So reticular activating system, what is it? Well, if you think about, it's a little piece of your brain, the control center of your thoughts, and it takes inputs from all your sensories, meaning ears, listening sound, nose, smell, eyes, what you see, mouth, what you taste, and touch, feel. So all those are sensories that bring in information and go to your reticular activating system, and then it decides what it wants to focus on. Because if you're looking, smelling, hearing, tasting, feeling, a whole bunch of stuff, your brain can't comprehend all of it at the same time. So it needs to decide what it wants to focus on. In other words, oh, squirrel, right? It's the same idea. So how do we control it? Well, you need to master what your reticular activating system will focus on. How do you do that? You decide, of all the sensories you're absorbing, which one you want to grab and focus on and do something about. In other words, you can also control the sensories coming in. If you're trying to focus and work, turn your phone off. Put yourself in a situation where there's not a lot of distractions going on. If you're in a building, close your office door, shut the blinds. Try to shut out a bunch of those sensories that can distract you from what you're focusing on. You can control that. The other thing is, if you stay focused on the task at hand, you can train yourself to not be distracted by squirrel. You can do that. Another thing you can do is, get the right amount of sleep, lower your stress levels, exercise, nutrition's a big one. I've heard a statistic, and I might be slightly off on this number, but your brain burns 20% of the protein your body intakes. So if you're not bringing in any protein and you're eating crappy processed foods, your brain can't function. It's missing the fuel it needs to focus, so then it becomes distracted. Case in point, we all know this. What happens when you give a kid sugar? What happens when a kid's got a bad diet? They're all over the map. They're hyper. They're missing. The reticular activating system isn't fully functional. So you get to control it. When you learn to do it and you master it, and you got to work at it. It takes practice. But when you get it, then you can effectively impact every single hour of decisions you're making, which will lead to much better results.